Today is April the 15th, 2022. This is Speak On It. Retro Current Team is the nonprofit. My name is Malik. Today is the weekend leading into Easter. People believe what they want to believe, and that ain't the reason I'm making this comment. On this show the other night on the radio, we dealt with the theme, the resurrection of the ancestral spirit into the Negro to bring about a better quality of life for the Negro in this day and time. And we had a lot of music on that platform, and it was a good show. We started out with Jesus Rose, but I know we won't be able to get away with it here simply because of the fact that all this copyright, whatever. And there's a few other songs that we really need to make the feeling, the energy, the vibration of those old spiritual Negro gospels, whatever you want to call them, that made us know that there was an energy in us. That when the Spirit came upon us, whether we was in Africa or here, it was beyond necessarily our control. In Africa and Haiti and other places, they say being ruled by the Spirit. Here we say we got the Holy Ghost. Whatever you call it, it's an energy, it's a spirit. That's important because some people are a little hesitant. But one of the people that I believe many of you all remember, if you are elders, because when I was a boy, there was a white man preacher that I guess you could call the Protestant Pope, just like you had the Catholic Pope. Although that wasn't official, but down in the country, we always heard of this man, and all we had was a radio. So I just want you to listen to this man here. For those of you that say it don't matter, for those of you that say you don't believe in that, for those of you that have a problem looking at yourself and believing that you are more than they told you you were, listen to this white man. From before the Jim Crow era. You don't have to believe him, but you can see him. I hope they don't block it. Go on, brother. Let's listen to Billy Graham.
Black people ever forget one thing. The man that helped Jesus carry that cross was a black man. And don't ever forget another thing. Jesus belongs to Africa as much as he does to Europe and Asia. He was born in that part of the world that touches Africa and Asia and Europe, and Jesus was not a white man like me, nor was he as black as some of you. We don't know what the color of his skin, but it must have been a dark color like the people of his day, because he was a man like them. Don't ever say it's a white man's religion or a black man's religion. It's a world religion.
Now, I just want you to just consider that. You know, it is what it is. And you can see he had moved into the elder passage of life, so he was able to speak truth. I'd imagine that when he was younger, down yonder, it would have been sort of difficult for him to do that and feel comfortable. But as he went on up the ladder and got closer and closer to the Lord, I guess, he was able to speak those words. It does matter. It don't matter that you don't believe it matters. But it is what it is, y'all. And you say, well, I like the artist's version of Michelangelo because he white and got blonde hair. Well, that's okay. You can like that. But the truth is, that scripture that talked about feet, the hair, you can discount that. That's your business. But I just wanted you to see that the man that carried the cross, no question, was black. And the man that ended up on the cross, no question, was black. I'm through with that. All right, brother, let's move on down here and get through with this here.
Well, brothers and sisters, once again, we're going to have a little entertainment. I guess I don't have to tell you what it is. The sheet kind of gives it away. And once again, brothers and sisters, we're going to share our pleasure with some neighbors less fortunate than ourselves. Won't you please clear the first 3 pews so they may have seats? And when they get here, I'm going to ask you once more, neither by word, nor by action, nor by look, to make a guest feel unwelcome, nor draw away from, or act high-toned. For we is all equal in the sight of God.
Amen.
And he said, let him who is without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
The chain shall be struck from them, and the lame shall leap, and the blind shall see, and glory in the coming of the Lord. Now let's give our guests a little welcome. When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses. Then Israel out of Egypt came. Let my people go. On the left the proud oppressor's land. Let my people go.
Just a little something for you. I would imagine that those was probably convicts that was on a change game. That's 1941. Now I hope that copyrights won't keep you from seeing it. But it was the energy of the change. It was the energy of the message. That was Negro worship. All you new breed blacks, you came out of that. And I'm going to just continue to use the word Negro because that's what you came out of. And to act like you're ashamed, and then for that imposter to have even moved the word off or gave permission for it to be moved off of the census. No, I'm not going to never let you not hear if you listen. That's where you come from. You don't have to go back to it, but don't throw it away. That was real life. 1941, I don't know what movie they could have been, but I would assume it was a movie. In the movie, we're talking about Moses. And we coming into what we coming into because we got a possible Moses right here in Chicago that you talk a lot about. But see, at the end of the day, you need to watch yourself. Come on with it, brother.
In slavery day, I would have died at the orientation. Hey, ho, master, ho. What you say now? You say, oh, Lord, I'm dissing, Lord. We got to pick 1,500 pounds of cotton a piece. It ain't even a group. Oh my, oh, Lord, we got a theme too? Oh Lord, who has achieved this before? This is a hell of a feat. How do you get 1,500 pounds of cotton in a day? It's so light. You ain't got no other openings like buggy driver, read your kids a story, runaway slave snitcher.
Hey, yeah, I want to shoot.
Well,
If I was back in slavery days,
I hope
I would have died.
that we can get past
Baby,
that.
shoot.
The truth of the matter is, a whole lot of you so-called blacks would not have survived because only the Negro could have survived back in them days. You flip-lip think you all that blacks? Dude was absolutely right. You would not have survived. They would have hung you, skinned you right then. They would have. And yes, I make a distinction between Negro and black. I do. But I ain't going into that this morning. You know what I'm saying? I ain't. Because it really don't matter. Believe what you want to believe. But dude was right. It was a comedy type skit, but it was right. I remember them cotton patches. Yeah. You had to meet a quota. Even kids. We had to meet a quota. Yeah, we did. Some of them women could get pretty close to 1,500. Some of them men could do more than 1,500. Just imagine all that free labor. You understand? And then they say you don't deserve reparation. Now, let me just say a little bit about this. You know that Dr. Reverend Willie Wilson announced that he is officially getting into the mayoral race. Now, the race should not be about race as it relates to the pigmentation. But now we have a Mexican, we have a white, Mexican being Lopez, white being Quickly, and now you have two blacks. That's really all you need. Now, I know you don't want to hear that, but that's all you need. You got a Mexican, you got a white, and you got two blacks. Why do you need two blacks? Because the incumbent is black. And you need an alternative to that. And you got them. But Go Down Moses was played because I wanted to be able to just remind those of you that might go to church or have been under the influence of church. There are stories in the scripture that talks about Moses being called by the Lord. You understand? And I'm just paraphrasing. I ain't trying to get off in no sermon, but I just want to refer you to something. But one of the issues I think Moses had in his conversation with the Lord was that, look, you know, I'm sort of tied-tongued. Well, I used to be tied-tongued, so they say. I really still don't know what it means. I didn't stutter, so I don't know if Moses was stuttering or not. I never stuttered. They say, boy, you tied-tongued. Man, I don't know. Whatever it meant, it was not the thing to have to be challenged with. So Moses said, look out, Lord, I hear you, but I don't think I can lead nobody because they're going to be talking about me talking. And they say, the scriptures say, to a degree, that Moses had a brother named Aaron. And that the Lord told Moses to do what he told. And Aaron would be his linguist, his mouthpiece. So maybe all of those preachers you see around Willie Wilson, I'm sure there is an Aaron there somewhere that's very eloquent in his speech, very articulate in his speech, very charismatic in his speech. You didn't worry about that with the dailies. So why do you Negroes, you blacks, keep bringing it up with Willie Wilson? Suppose he's Moses. Suppose his mission, is to go down to City Hall because you've elected him and he will help you be set free. Run this, man. There's 2 pieces on Willie Wilson, and there's a reason I'll tell you later.
2015 and 2019, and failing to make the runoff election either of those times, wealthy businessman Willie Wilson announced this morning he's going to run for the job again.
I don't need to run for mayor to get a paycheck. Right? My wanting to do this is to serve the community.
4 years ago, Wilson estimated his net worth at up to $60 million. Fox 32 political editor Mike Flannery joins us now. So, Mike, is Willie Wilson becoming one of those perennial candidates who likes to run for everything, or do you think he's got a shot here?
Well, maybe both. He's also run for U.S. Senator Dane and for President of the United States unsuccessfully, but he could have a bigger impact this time, especially given his popularity among voters in Chicago's politically pivotal black community.
We got to make sure that the community work together. One person cannot solve the problem of 2 or 3 million people or more. It takes togetherness.
Yes. Yeah.
One person cannot fix the crime
Yes.
by itself. One person cannot fix all the economic that we particularly need, or the education system. But one person can open the doors and communicate.
Yes.
And that people can have input and to put in.
Willie Wilson's recent multi-million-dollar gasoline giveaways have become part of his political trademark and have added to the political attention, public attention that he's drawn recently. Also, they've drawn some ridicule from Mayor Lightfoot and some of her allies for causing long lines and making people wake up early to get in line for gasoline. But Wilson's promising to do it again, even if the city imposes new rules making it more difficult.
If Chicago don't allow me to do it again, to try to put up some roadblock, then we'll just go over in Indiana and suburban area and have the people in Chicago come out there and get gas.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. We'll do what it takes.
So there is one other candidate as he contemplates these new, another round of gasoline giveaways. Alderman Ray Lopez from the Southside 15th Ward jumped in a few days ago and is among perhaps a half-dozen serious candidates thinking about it.
You know, I recall that Willie Wilson took some flack one of his previous campaigns when he went into churches and just gave away money. Remember that?
Right.
And then there's this gas giveaway. Now that he's a candidate, I mean, where does he cross the line from, you know, just
well, the
generosity and charity to, you know, trying to buy votes?
There was a complaint about the cash giveaways, and the State Board of Elections actually reviewed it, and they okayed it. They noted that he had been doing it for
Illinois.
several decades, and they said it, given his history of these giveaways, it did not qualify or it did not rise to the level of buying votes. Yeah. Of course, Mayor Lightfoot's gas giveaway involves Chicagoans' own tax dollars.
Right.
And
That's true.
she's giving people back their own tax dollars. Wilson had some fun with that at today's announcement, noting that his gas giveaways are from his own checkbook.
So where you see a mayoral field starting to shape up a little bit here, right? And if Quigley jumps into the race, that could change things quite a bit.
Congressman Mike Quigley from the North Side, as Fran Spielman noted in a story she did in the Sun-Times, posted a few hours ago, some of the really big money people seem to be sort of stepping back at this point, perhaps waiting for the field to form. Paul Vallis contemplating it, and a half dozen others.
All right. Mike, thanks. It's going to be a fun election season.
It is.
Starting already?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Morris, that covers all of that. If there was another clip, forget it, because that particular clip merged them all. I guess the other pieces was just snippets from that. Now, one of the things I want to say as it relates to this, and I'm sure you caught it, you see how dude slipped when he got to Quigley? Mike became white. See, you got to pay attention. They mind on the same thing your mind on. The man named Mike Quigley, but the reporter said white Quigley. Did he have a slip? Yes, he had a slip. He didn't mean no harm, but that's where they mind on. You know what I'm saying? And if all you other Negroes go jumping your behind into the race, it's going to create confusion. You don't need no more people. You got everything you need right now. A white, a so-called brown, a Negro, two Negroes. Now, the other names he called, you do want to make a point about Reverend Dr. Willie Wilson running regular here and there. Vallis run pretty regular too. Everybody that's in the dang gone race gonna probably be done ran before. So I don't know why dude wanted to throw that shade. You know what I'm saying? But that's the game. But I like dude, the other reporter that brought it in about the map. She wanna talk yang, but her, whatever she gonna do with the gas situation, it's late. Because the federal government has already put some things in place. The state has put things in place. Gas prices are going down. So now you want to send people in a lottery, and then you want to make fun out of Willie Wilson, people that had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get in line. See, that's petty. You need to just move away with that $12 million. Let some of the people in the community tell you what to do with it, since you don't know what to do with it. And just go on and do that 3 cents a gallon, so everybody, not just the people in the lottery who named the pool, everybody that's driving, that need it, can go get some gas and benefit. And so for CTA, you probably don't have to give them no money. What you need to do with CTA is go hire a damn group of law enforcement people with guns and dogs and put them on CTA. That's what you need to do, Lightfoot. Go to the next one, brother.
History was made tonight.
Harold Washington will be known for being the first black mayor.
He believed in fairness. He believed in justice.
People in the city are ready for change.
Every day was like a battlefield. Every day was like the Crusades.
You're about to get a mouthful of something you don't want, sir. You're about to get a mouthful of something you don't want.
From the moment he walked into the 5th floor of City Hall, they decided they were going to make sure he did not succeed.
We have a right to speak. You are afraid of the truth.
He was still unconscious when he was wheeled into the emergency room.
Mayor Washington was pronounced dead this afternoon.
I could not stop crying.
We're gonna all pray and just hope the city survives.
You could almost feel the city weeping at the loss of this giant.
I feel like Harold's in my ear every day.
They know Harold the gregarious. They know Harold the mayor. They know Harold the politician. But they don't know Harold.
You want Harold? Well, here's
ABC 7 presents a birthday celebration. Harold Washington, Life and Legacy, with Cheryl Burton and Alan Krzyzewski.
we salute. He would have been 100 years old this birthday.
When you're
and I
made
think
by
part of
the
the
white
challenge for Negroes is trying to understand what was different then and what is different now. We remember the last mayoral election and people were talking about a change. You ain't heard nothing about a change for the betterment of the community since the election. But I told you then down here on CAN TV and on the radio that you have to be careful. Sometime a change becomes
These are the Democrats in Illinois.
And what you have seen here, and I ain't going off into particulars because we've done it before, and what you have seen here is that that change that was supposed to be for the better, we thought, turned out to be more damaging than that little penny change that you was mad at the other one for raising on the soda water sugar tax. So you see, you might have been better off spending that penny change than getting what you got, which is a change if you're a Negro, and being kept in bondage by crime, particularly if you got to use CTA. I'm just scared. Man, I be praying all the time that nothing happens with my car and I have to catch that CTA. I guess I might have put one of them Ubers or Lyft or whatever in the hell they call it on the phone. But I'm scared of that too. It's a shame. They don't even want to talk about it. But we're going to move on to something else. This is something I'm putting it on here because it's real. The congressional election is coming up, and I'm looking at these people that's here. Let's just, pay respect to the process, Omari, and run this.
Senate, I had a young man who was an alderman at the time coming to the Senate, and he stood strong in support of me to become the Democrat leader in the Illinois Senate. We served together well during his tenure there. He left. I think he went to the county board. Now he's a U.S. congressman. This week we are celebrating the 100th birthday of the late Mayor Harold Washington. At the genesis of that campaign, this young man was there, helped putting it all together. We've been friends for many, many years. When he ran for mayor of the city of Chicago, he picked up the phone and called me. I said, sure, I'll be with you. He should have won that election. But today, this U.S. Congressman Chuy Garcia is here, and I present to you my good friend, Chuy Garcia.
All right.
Yeah.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. President, to all my friends in the back here. It's great to join with you. I'm especially excited and reminiscent of my relationship with the Jackson family. It extends over 40 years. They may not know it, but I was watching and I was listening shortly after I arrived from Chicago. As I was learning to speak English, I was listening to black radio. And I heard Operation Breadbasket. And I heard of a young reverend by the name of Jesse Jackson and his wife, Jackie Jackson, a dynamic duo who have done so much for our communities, for Chicago, and for the world. And in their work as civil rights champions and champions of human rights and of human progress across the globe, they have shown us what struggle for goodness is all about. And this morning, I am delighted to be here, appreciative of people who struggled for civil rights, people who brought us the Voting Rights Act, because, Mr. President, it was the Voting Rights Act that enabled me to be elected to the Chicago City Council to help Mayor Harold Washington in 1986 gain a majority in the city council and demonstrate to everyone what city governance and democracy is all about. It ushered in one of the most progressive administrations ever anywhere in the United States of America. Chicago came to be reflected in its government. And of course, one person who was involved in all of these historic endeavors, be it the election of Harold Washington, the fight to end apartheid in South Africa, the advocacy for human rights in Latin America and Central America, in Africa and Asia, wherever people were being oppressed, has been the Jackson family. And the product of that matrimony, of that marriage, is a young man that I'm proud to stand with today, who embodies the great values that the Jackson family has worked for and fought for many, many years, and to whom I am deeply indebted and grateful for helping me win a seat in Congress and representing the people of my district, but people everywhere that I represent and the values that I extol as a member of the United States Congress. And this morning, I proudly stand with Jonathan Jackson and throw my wholehearted support and endorsement to his effort to become the next congressman of the 1st District. Hey. Yes. I do it knowing that the 1st District has a long history and legacy of being one of the most progressive districts in the country. It was the district that helped empower the black community, grow its political muscle, make history by electing Harold Washington, and Harold Washington being one of the most unifying and fairest mayors that the city has ever had. And we celebrate his centennial this year, and 39 years ago, that history happened. We're appreciative of all of these things because Harold Washington, too, improved the Voting Rights Act that enabled me to get elected to the city council, to the state senate, and become the first Mexican American elected to the state senate, and yes, helped create the 4th congressional district that today I am so proud to represent. Yes. Yes. So those are the linkages. Those are the bonds that we have, and why I stand with Jonathan Jackson today. And America needs someone like Jonathan to represent the people of the 1st District, because voting rights are under attack. And I know that Jonathan has supported and will continue to fight for enactment of laws like H.R. 1, the For the People Act, that will protect voting rights and make democracy.
Now, you know, I wanted Jonathan to get to say something, but you just keep going. But let me say this. You know, part of the problem is that the media has agitated, polarized the tension and created tension between Negroes and Mexicans. There really shouldn't be any tension between us. Because really, when you listen to Lopez and you listen to Chua Garcia, and when you see their work, you really have to go into another zone to get off in the foolishness that we get into. And that's basically race. But what do you really say about a man like Chua that's negative, that's really something worthy to speak against with? I don't know. Because it appears he got a history. He's done what he said. But the media and a lot of them new breed Mexicans, like the ones down in City Hall now, they want their own, you know, they got their map. And they say the city map is a black map and that they want more. But like I said before, I'm going to keep saying, now that Lightfoot done gave the Asians award by appointing the woman that took that Daley Thompson person seat, maybe they'll take that particular piece of the pie and we can move on.
Hey, businesses,
See what I'm saying?
we're giving
But people like Sugar Garcia, you know, all I can do is salute. Let's go on, man. We're running out of time. We got to cut a lot of stuff out today. Now, the next piece coming up, all right.
Running for safety when bullets start flying near a busy park.
That frightening scene playing out tonight in Canaryville on the south side. CBS 2's Jermont Terry is live with the breaking details. Jermont.
Brad and Marie, we have 2 people shot. 1 woman died. Another man is in critical condition after Chicago police say someone shot at them near 41st and Union. Now, all of this happening within feet of children playing at a park. Now, in this Ring video, you can see those parents and kids running off the baseball field and hiding behind cars. They rushed to get away from the shots fired coming from the other side of Taylor Lordeson Park. If you look closer, you can even see one man on the sidewalk. He's pushing a stroller. He tries picking the child up, but decides to frantically run down the street, trying to get away with his baby inside the stroller.
15 shots heard at the park, people running. 10 heard, kids still running from the park.
There's multiple shooters in that car.
Now, they were running to get away from this. A black Saturn crashed en route after police say 3 people carrying guns opened fire from a second car. Those shots hit 2. The 19-year-old woman, she was the driver, she died, and her 20-year-old passenger is again in critical condition. It's believed the gunman followed that car into the neighborhood and fired multiple rounds, having no regard for the children playing in that park. Thankfully, none of the children or parents were injured when this drive-by happened, but clearly this was a targeted shooting. We do know that it placed so many people in danger. The gunmen, they jumped on the Dan Ryan heading south, and they have not been seen since. Reporting live with breaking news outside CPD headquarters, Jermont Terry, CBS 2 News.
Jermont, thank you.
Now, you know, this is what we really need to be clear. The mayoral election is a long ways off. A lot can happen. And there's going to be a lot of tricks pulled to blame COVID and other situations. But what we need to deal with is the lack of safety. What you just saw is just one more daily occurrence that made the news. But that was repeated all over this city. Well, violence is just out of control, and it's not just Chicago, it's all over the nation. Why? Because these new breed Democrats and all of this foolishness that they came up with had let the criminal know that you can do whatever you want to do and get away with it. That's what the problem is. And Biden, I'm shocked that Biden and Harris have allowed this to go on. Because both of them are notorious for locking Negroes up as it relates to their policies. But somehow, neither one of them have seen what's happening in Chicago and other places as such a threat to the existence of certain communities that it's ridiculous. They so busy worried about bringing Ukrainians and Afghans over here that they can't see what's happening right here. And then they want to say that Negroes leave the city. I don't know. I still believe that was a lie by the census. They undercounted you so they could have this foolishness between the blacks, the Negroes, and the Mexicans. You can't believe nothing the damn census say. But the bottom line being, the crime is enough to run you out of town. It is. Or get somebody else in the seat that care about you, Negro. Sanctuary city for everybody but you. You have no sanctuary. And yes, Harold Washington is the one to put sanctuary city in place. But he didn't put it in place for black folks to be excluded and only Mexicans to be included and given safety and resources. Go to the next one, man. I'm getting too far off. Go ahead. Now, why are you getting that other piece? Just look at it. And, you know, we're gonna try to stay away from too much because we got to skip some things because they got a staff meeting directly, and I don't want to deal with too much. what are we looking at here? Whatever it is, just let it rip. Because at the end of the day, you know, we got things on here, but everything don't have to be done today. But it's supposed to be in order. The way it was sent in order. Damn, boy, this computer is crazy as hell. You don't see nothing else. Harold Washington, Canaryville, city still not talking about CTA, the 3 people that were shot on CTA the other day. And then TikTok, TYT. You don't see nothing else. All right, we'll have a short show. I mean, we got a whole nother page. I can't sit up here and just be ad-libbing. So until next week, a life of peace and good health. All right. But anyhow, while Amari coming to get the paper, maybe he'll find this. See, my position is this. It's the computer. I know this is. And it ain't personal. I know that I'm insignificant. I know that these people ain't doing nothing as it relates to me. But the bottom line is, sometimes you send stuff and stuff don't get where it's supposed to be. I just can't believe. I can't. Not only is it here, but even when I try to get a little stuff on that little social media, you know, try to get them to boost it. They don't even let me pay them to boost it. But now they done went on. When Omari first brought it to me about how you get your stuff circulated, it was $1 a day. Then they went up to $2. Now it's $5 a day. But they won't even boost these shows. They say they're political. They say they influence people's opinion. But what in the hell do you think all that other garbage, naked women, gun-toting people doing? I mean, come on, what the hell is this? But I accept it. And I understand that. So I've noticed that they do sort of push it to the side. I got some notice the other day where they were saying that they changing policy how they target, how they gonna send you stuff. So I know they just letting me know, dude, you ain't gonna be able to get none of this stuff. But I don't care nothing about social media to that degree. I'm still old school. Can TV, I don't know how many people look at it, but there's a couple of million that could look at it because they got cable. I don't know how many people listen to the radio, but there's a whole lot of people that listen to that particular station because it's an old iconic station. All I'm saying is this little thing here, I'm glad Omari took the time to deal with it because I didn't want to sit here and waste time just talking and saying too much. All right, Amari, thank you very much.
Right now in Chicago, police investigating more violent crimes on the CTA. We're pushing for answers after a shooting, a stabbing, and an attack added to what is becoming a long list of violence reported just since Friday night.
Our Tara Molina taking another look at the issue and a group that's demanding a response from the city. Tara, the numbers tell the story.
Brad and Marie, and their numbers that we continue to bring to city departments this afternoon, asking what's being done about this recent spike with crime up overall on the CTA this year. And we're asking questions about whether the city's current safety plan is even working.
Well, I haven't seen any of the increased security, and I ride the transit quite a bit.
Jim Wales isn't the only one. Since the increase of unarmed security guards on the CTA was announced last month in an effort to curb crime, we haven't heard much about those guards, and city departments have refused to answer our questions directly related to them, all while we've tracked continued crime on our public transit. We mapped out the recent crimes on the CTA and brought all of them back to Chicago police, with a stabbing that started as a fight inside the Roosevelt Road CTA station Friday, then an attack on the Pink Line near State Street Saturday, and a shooting on a CTA bus Sunday. Anyone arrested and charged in any of those crimes, or others we've tracked last week? Chicago police told me 5 juveniles were charged in the stabbing incident Friday, 2 of them only 12 years old. All the rest are still under investigation. So with no suspects identified or in custody, why aren't they sharing images of those behind those crimes? A CPD spokesperson told me if detectives have any video to share with the public, they'll create a community alert, which our office will disseminate at that time. A group in the South Loop doesn't think the current response or addition of unarmed security officers is enough.
I don't know if they're being applied to other locations.
Back to Jim Wales, who leads South Loop Neighbors.
It says we have a system that needs to be fixed.
That's why they're hosting a meeting Wednesday to directly address safety concerns and perceptions with the CTA and CPD directly. With CTA crime overall on the rise. We ran the numbers, and we've already tracked a significant rise in battery, robbery, and theft this year compared to the same time frame last year.
It's a complex issue that needs to be addressed by a multitude of agencies.
But not all of those agencies are addressing this with us. We sent the mayor's office a request last week, never responded. Reiterated that request today. We haven't heard back yet, and the CTA has yet to address our specific questions about safety, security, and those unarmed officers. For now, reporting live in the Loop, I'm Tara Molina, CBS 2 News. Marie?
We know you'll keep reaching out, Tara. Thank you for that.
Now, you know, we could spend the next hour running CTA crime-related clips, but we won't. The bottom line is, please, people, don't be charmed by this administration and let them think that there is something more important that they can do than stop this crime. It's all over the place. But their arrogance won't even let them respond to the media. It's a shame. It's a shame. Yeah, play that TikTok, because that's something why we got these problems. It's a shame. And as he cleaned that up, this is another thing contributing to the shame. When you see the stuff that these people let on social media, and you think about, you know, old school people like me, they can't even get a video about Go Down Moses or LaVille or any of that, where they know you ain't trying to make no money, all you're trying to do is educate people. They can't deal with it, but they can show all type of garbage. I mean, serious mess. I don't even know how they get that stuff out there, because some of that stuff is pornography. You know what I mean? Some of that stuff is criminal. Most of it's criminal when it comes down to them young folks they got singing them songs and showing them guns. But when you try to do something to uplift the community, you run into those type of roadblocks. And I ain't complaining, I ain't crying. I'm just saying, so when you see the intensity, you understand? And when you see us sometimes get sort of like caught up, that's because of the fact that we know we put things in place, and then when things don't come across, we see that, and we just letting you know. You see? And that's the piece here about TikTok. Y'all pay attention to y'all youngins, because y'all youngins imitating this stuff on TV. You know, should I say
New
on
challenge
social
on
media.
TikTok. Here we go again. Police are warning tonight, keeping your children off TikTok, even trying to do that may not be enough. Robbie Owens spoke with a mom who learned that from personal experience.
What previous generations perhaps called the ding and dash has now taken a dangerous turn. The so-called heartbeat or door kick challenge entices teens to bang on neighbors' doors, usually after dark. What could possibly go wrong?
He could have shot them.
This Dallas mom doesn't allow her 12-year-old to have TikTok, but a friend does. So when out of her sight for a mere 6 minutes, they found themselves at a neighbor's door. We're not showing her face because the trolls have already come for the family online. That's in spite of taking responsibility and apologizing. Still, that's not the worst of it.
I think one of the most terrifying things imaginable as a parent, that your kid could be shot on his own street in his socks for doing something that I think kids thought was just kind of harmless fun, and it's terrifying.
Whether it's this online hazard or the one that's always coming, local police urge parents to be proactive.
If parents will take a moment and get to know what their kids are doing on social media, talk to them about that, look at their phone, look what they're up to.
Because no one wins if a child is shot through a door.
There are people out there who, they don't care that you're a 12-year-old kid.
How many times have you replayed this in your mind? What if that homeowner had made good on that threat and grabbed a gun instead of just yelling at your kid?
The thought of all the good that he wants to do in this world and all of the dreams that he has being gone from just a couple of minutes of just lapse of judgment is something that we're not going to forget anytime soon.
In Dallas, Robbie Owens, CBS 11 News.
Now, These kids know better than that. Don't tell me nothing about their damn brain ain't developed. They know they ain't got no business doing that.
I would argue that Title 42...
You know, they know. A lot of this stuff that's happening. Like they talk about CTA, them 2 12-year-olds. They know better. The problem is you are not given the proper consequence. You're not. You can program a computer to do anything you want to do. So what you need to do is program a computer to know how to put a switch on their ass. Program a computer that won't hurt them too bad, but will stain their behind and let them understand we will whoop your behind like they did in my time. All of this time out, all of this put down your computer, get that computer, lock them to that computer, and let that computer have a belt, a strap, or a switch, and tie their behinds up. That's what you need to do to these little wild rascals you got running around here, enabling to be criminals and get killed and cause havoc. That's you new damn Generation X parents. You need to go back to, y'all need to go back to Mulder, X-Files, because all of y'all seem to have fell out of the sky. Because you don't know what to do with your kids. You don't know what to do when you get elected. You're just a bunch of blamed old folk. Charge them for what they did 40 years ago. Why can't you do something to change the direction of this criminal pandemic that people are suffering here in this country? Run this, brother, whatever it is. Yeah, that's good right there.
Residents in the east to get out now ahead of expected major attacks by Russian forces. New images show an 8-mile convoy of Russian troops, one of several, on their way to the Donbas region. In the southern port city of Mariupol, some cleanup is underway while residents have gone weeks without running water, electricity, food, and medical supplies with no help from the outside. The Pentagon says the U.S. is helping to gather evidence of possible war crimes in Ukraine, while UNICEF is reporting nearly 2/3 of Ukraine's estimated 7.5 million children have been displaced. Now, the Department of Homeland Security says thousands of refugees displaced by Russia's invasion have traveled to Mexico, hoping to request refuge in the U.S. Tonight, we're getting a better look at the long and sometimes complicated journey to safety from a local couple waiting for their Ukrainian nephew to get across the border. KCAL 9's Lori Perez is live in Studio City with their story. Lori?
Pat, for children who are coming here without their parents or their legal guardians, it is not easy. We spoke with an Encino couple tonight who says they were able to get their nephew through Tijuana and into the U.S., but now they say he is stuck in limbo at a San Diego detention center along with hundreds of other unaccompanied minors.
Meet Ivan Yurishov, 14 years old. He's into sports and loves his computer. He's a typical teen, and as of a week and a half ago, a Ukrainian refugee. His aunt, Irina Mereshko, picked him up in Kharkiv after her sister said she and her husband wanted to stay and fight, but they wanted Ivan brought to safety, a move the family did their best to spin.
I told him it will be like a long summer break in California for you. Yeah, don't think about dividing with parents, like a long summer break.
30 hours on a train, 40 hours on a plane, aunt and nephew made their way to this refugee camp in Mexico, where she'd heard the best and easiest way to get him into the U.S. was to go to the border and ask for humanitarian admission. But once into San Diego, immigration workers said he had to stay in a detention center for 2 or 3 days until the Mereshkos had a background check and their connection to him was verified. It's been 3 days, and now they've been told it could be 20 to 30 days, alone and without a phone, for a child who has just left his country and his family in a war zone with no idea if or when he might return.
I think it's very difficult psychologically for him, and without connection with parents and with us.
They understand safety protocol, but think 20 or 30 days is cruel given all he's been through, and are working with an attorney to get him out immediately. This is the last picture Ivan took with his mom and his aunt as they were leaving.
When we said goodbye each other in Uzhgorod, the city in the western part of Ukraine, all of us, me and my sister, understand it could be last goodbye. Yeah.
Now, they say they want to help their nephew, of course, but more broadly, they want to help all Ukrainian children or children of war who are especially fragile from having to stay in those detention centers for anything longer than just a few days. In Studio City, I'm Lori Perez. Back to you.
What a story, Lori. Wow, thanks so much.
You know, there's a terrible
At
situation.
JP Morgan, the only definition
and
of wealth
no doubt
that
about
matters.
it. And I know it's a war situation, and it's exceptions. You let a Negro try to send their kid to the next town unsupervised. You understand me? And they talking about background checks. Well, why didn't you do all of that before you send the boy on this trip? Huh? So, I mean, they doing a lot of things different. And I ain't gonna get off into some other type of commentary on that. I ain't. All I'm saying is they trying to make it happen. And they bringing a lot of them. There's a piece up there about what Illinois is doing to help the Ukrainians. You know what I mean? And it is what it is, and you know, ain't no thing. And then there's a piece, I hope you can find that, you know, down in Atlanta. They giving those Afghan people jobs as teachers. Can you imagine? That piece right there, Amara, you don't play that whole thing, but a little bit of it will help these people understand what's happening in Illinois and Chicago.
One thing
I see it, but I don't see. Well, I guess that's part of the commercial. But if we want to just give you a little piece of information concerning how Illinois and Chicago is helping the Ukrainian effort as it relates to what they're doing. And I think one of the things we have to keep in mind, and that is this is a war. But, you know, I mean, that's important, but they just sent them another $800 billion.
Burton. And I'm Rob Elgis, and welcome to our digital special report, Illinois Helps Ukraine. When the war in Ukraine began in February of 2022, Illinois residents immediately stepped in to help.
And that includes residents of Ukrainian Village helping loved ones in their home country, children in the suburbs raising money, and doctors lending a helping hand, including a doctor who recently headed back overseas to help those impacted by the war. ABC 7's Eric Hong was with him as he left from O'Hare for another life-saving mission.
This is the second time in less than a month that doctor is traveling to Ukraine. After witnessing the suffering of innocent civilians, he says he knew he had to return. With dozens of suitcases full of medical supplies, Chicago physician Dr. Zaher Salul is headed back to the war zone.
It's important to say things and important to condemn the brutality of the Russians, but it is more important to stand with the people of Ukraine.
Dr. Salul leads the Chicago-based humanitarian group Med Global, which provides medical care and training in war zones around the world. Last month, Med Global brought critical supplies to the Poland-Ukraine border and to the western Ukrainian city of Lviv. But on this trip, Salul hopes to head deeper into Ukraine.
When you have bombing of hospitals like what's happening in Ukraine, then the healthcare system will be...
Can you find that piece about these Afghans down in Atlanta teaching at the daycare or whatever they're doing? They're learning how to speak English and they're learning how to teach whatever they want to teach. So let it be. And while he's looking for that, one of the things I think our people, when I say our people, I'm talking about the American people, need to understand is that war brings out a different type of energy. Some people call it, you know, patriotism, you know, but that usually applies to people that are from the same country. So I thought. But obviously, if you're from a European country, that also applies to America. But if you're from a dark-skinned country, I don't know if they give you as much attention as they do other countries. But that's just part of the fabric of America. And I guess when you deal with those type of issues, you know, if you can't find that, just do the piece with the film law and we'll call it on that, Amari, so they can see what's happening with this dope that's killing these kids. So I saw that piece as you were doing it. The Atlanta piece, maybe, I know it's down toward the bottom because that was posted, you know, earlier. All of the stuff I see now, you know, you could also do that piece about that man had 100-something snakes in his house. I don't know what he expected. You know, they told you the snake gonna bite you. And dude, they didn't say that that's what happened. You can show this piece here if you can, because that's important. I've seen it before, but maybe the public ain't seen it, the TYT piece.
You play with the wrong motherfucker. You gotta do, man.
This is the reality of America that you need to look at. But see how this one policeman deal with this other police officer. It's just a shame.
November, video showed a 21-year veteran of a Florida police department putting his hands on a female officer's throat.
No. Get the f*** off. Hey, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. You want to f***ing play games? You play with the wrong motherfucker. You gotta do, man. You gonna mace me, mace me. Look at me, motherfucker. You want to play games? You ever get disrespectful with my f***ing officers, I will remove your f***ing soul from your f***ing body.
This is one you may have missed, as it's been going viral only really in the past 10 days, almost 6 months after the disgusting incident.
Don't ever touch me again. Sir. Get the f*** off. Sir.
While it made the rounds in local Florida news, it's only really garnered national attention recently, and now audio has been released, and it makes the atrocious video even worse, if you can believe it. At the time, officers were trying to take a man named Gene Similian into custody. In the body cam video, you can hear Similian being difficult with officers. He complains that his leg was hurting, and he struggled with them when they tried to put him in the back of the patrol car. It's at that moment that Sergeant Christopher Police pulled up in a different car. In the audio, Similian emphatically changes his tune once he is in the cop car, while Sergeant Police continues to totally lose any self-control and continue screaming mercilessly at the man after he is of no threat. Similian literally says, quote, "Do what you gotta do, mace me." And this sets the sergeant off so badly that the female officer beside him decides to finally step in and de-escalate. This officer, who had only been on the force for about 2 years, pulled him backward by his belt. Police reacts by saying to her, quote, "What the F? You don't ever effing touch me again. Get the F off of me." After that, Police walked away and chillingly turns to tell her that he would see her soon, saying, quote, "And I'll effing see you in about 5 minutes. He then screams at the rest of the people gathered around to turn off their cameras. We have seen many instances of cops behaving badly, but this has absolutely got to be one of the most disgusting abuses of power I have ever seen. The anger and rage in Sergeant Police is downright inhumane. Let's not forget, these officers are supposed to keep the peace. Who is this protecting exactly? He is quite literally physically assaulting his own co-worker, who is merely trying to de-escalate a situation that didn't need to get so violent. If you can imagine, though, it gets worse. Since this instance happened last fall, there has been an attempt to investigate the situation, but it's going very slowly. Right upon seeing the footage, Sunrise Police Chief Anthony Rosa, during an exclusive sit-down interview with Local 7 News, said that, quote, "I find this behavior to be disgusting. I think the video speaks for itself." But get this, the head of the police union is not happy about that rush to judgment. Yeah, after seeing that video, what we really need is to sit with it and figure out what's actually going on. So here's where it gets even more infuriating. Fraternal Order of Police President Steve Negron sent a letter to city managers and commissioners last week saying that, quote, "We are extremely displeased with Chief Rosa's unprofessional conduct during this investigation." He adds that the chief, quote, "has clearly already made up his mind as to the outcome." The letter did not include an apology to the female officer, no apology to the man held violently, just a defense of some of the most barbaric, disgusting actions I've ever witnessed. As we know from 2020, police and police unions do not want you to trust your own eyes when attacks like this occur. They want you to put away your cameras, and they will use excessive verbal force to intimidate you into doing so. We can't let that happen. We can't let events like this go unwitnessed, and we can't let Sergeant Christopher Police get out of this with no accountability, as the police union would like. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.
Now look at that little child running her mouth. Now I know that police officer, when he see this, he gonna want to spank her. You understand? But she got a point. But that's what they've been doing all the time. And that's what they do. They do that. And Negroes are basically adapted to it. It don't mean we done got used to it. They just adapted to it. We're going to close with something here that I just want to remind people. You know, I know everybody got their own type of pets, and we all think we can handle whatever we got. And although they say they don't really know what
Bizarre
happened
scene now.
and why this man died, this is a very disturbing story to me. And that is that a man had over 120 snakes in his house, all type of snakes. And I don't know what maybe he was doing research, maybe he was a snake charmer, I don't know what he was. But the bottom line is he ended up dead with them snakes in his house. And I just wonder how many of us, do things like that. We've been told that a snake is something that you can, you know what I'm saying? You can fool yourself with. But he's a snake. And if he's poisonous, he's gonna bite you. Unless you got some type of antidote already in your system, unless you're in India or some of them other places where they know how to do things to keep the snake from killing them, you have a problem. But if you get one of them other big old snakes, you're gonna eventually get, swallowed up. So those of y'all that got snakes, and I know people that got snakes. I was about to get one, but hell, they say you got to feed on rats. I wasn't finna go buy no damn rat to kill a snake. I couldn't deal with that type of feeding. I couldn't give another life for another something to eat. That shit didn't make sense to me. But that was me. But otherwise, I like the snake. And in Africa, snakes, in other places, snakes have their place in the spiritual life. People use them for divination, they use them for this and that. But let's go, man. I don't mean it like that to you, Amara. I mean that like that to me. I'm sitting here looking at something with the snakes because I got a fixation on snakes. Run this piece, man.
Now unfolding in a quiet, small town, a death investigation is underway in Charles County in a home full of more than 100 snakes. Fox 5 Sierra Fox is live in Pomfret, Maryland with the details. It's not often we come to a story like this and snakes is a factor. So what's going on here?
Angie, this is definitely unusual. Last night around 6 in the evening, a neighbor called the Charles County Sheriff's Office after finding a man dead inside this home. Now, when deputies arrived here, they also discovered more than 100 venomous and non-venomous snakes. Yes, you heard that right. More than 100 venomous and non-venomous snakes. Right now, there are experts here from Virginia and North Carolina to assist animal control to document the different breeds before figuring out where to move them.
I think it's definitely scary for people to hear about how many snakes there are and what kind. I also think that there's relief in knowing that now that animal control is involved, experts are here, the situation's under control and the scene is contained. Neighbors feel safe, they're just grieving.
At this time, it's not clear how the man died, natural causes, or if a snake was involved. His name and age hasn't been released. His body is being examined by the medical examiner's office, and the cause of death will be released in a few weeks. As far as the more than 100 snakes inside his home, animal control says it's not clear why he had so many, but he was taking good care of them. We're told he had them secured responsibly, racked, which keeps their temperature and humidity as close as possible to their normal habitat. The man had venomous snakes like cobras and black mambas and non-venomous snakes including pythons and rattlesnakes. Venomous snakes are not legal to have here in Maryland. However, non-venomous snakes are legal to possess.
Well, see, is there any danger though to the community? What are they saying about that? Because 100 snakes, I mean, those are the ones they found inside the house. That's not something that we hear about, as you mentioned, every day. It's very unusual.
Right, Angie. Well, that's exactly what animal control wants to make clear, that there is no public safety threat here. There's no evidence that any snakes escaped or are out here, so everyone shouldn't worry about this.
All right, Sierra Fox for us tonight. Thank you.
Well, until next week, Alafia, peace and good health. Watch the snakes.